Working in Hollywood comes with lots of perks, but other than perks, there's also a lot of chaos that unfolds. Each and every actor has to go through their fair share of hurdles. The good part is that they usually learn their lessons the first time. Today, we're talking about how Emily Blunt's story about working with Tom Cruise on Edge of Tomorrow just highlighted an important problem in Hollywood. Let's find out more. Starting with the problem highlighted. When filming the 2014 film Edge of Tomorrow proved challenging for Emily Blunt, she turned to the assistance of Tom Cruise. Blunt, now 39 years old, told co-hosts Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes on Monday's episode of the Smartless podcast that Cruise ordered her to stop being such a sissy when she became anxious while shooting their Doug Liman-directed action movie. She explained they wanted to execute it in a physical manner, so they had to wear these big outfits that would have been wonderful if they had been CGI'd. During the podcast, Blunt made the observation that these clothes were far from comfortable. It was about 85 pounds, according to her estimation. This thing weighed a ton, according to Emily. Tom didn't know what to do when the first time she put it on. She began crying. But the problem wasn't the interaction. It was the way the media had twisted the whole thing around. Let's look at the advice from Cruise. After Blunt admitted her anxiety about the filming to Cruise, the actor gave her some simple advice on how to handle herself. I was like, Tom, I'm not sure how I'm going to get through this shoot, and just started to cry, Blunt said. The actress talked about how she confided in her co-star about feeling panicky, and she was met with a no-nonsense response where Cruise told her to suck it up and stop being scared of nothing, using rather crude language might be add. Blunt continued saying, and I did laugh, and then we got through it, despite the fact that she eventually did damage her ribs and collarbone during the shoot. But hey, it looks like she didn't mind the interaction after all. According to Blunt, there was a lot of hard work involved in the training. She and Cruise practiced their stunts twice a day, and it still didn't feel enough. Due to the weight of the costume, Emily sometimes had a male stunt double to step in for her. She broke both her ribs and her collarbones on set. Emily claimed that they still feel dodgy after 8 years. The tough love strategy paid off though, as she laughed it off and took the advice. Moving on, did she mind the crude language? She described the conversation as very unprofessional and unpleasant in a statement she sent about it. Tom did in fact swear at her, even if it was meant to be humorous. She found the idea that it had been twisted to make her feel like she has been insulted to be laughable. She clarified that this is not how things worked. She told the tale in the same playful spirit in which Tom had told it, and she honestly never meant to paint the incident in a bad light. She elaborated that Tom is a very special friend of hers and that she thought the world of him. Her explanation was that it was meant as a prank to make her laugh and that it succeeded brilliantly. They haven't stopped giggling about it either. What's more, she mentioned another dilemma. Blunt claimed in an interview with The Telegraph in November that she is bored and immediately checks out of a project if it calls for a strong female protagonist. Having a strong female lead, according to her, is the worst thing that could happen while reading a screenplay. That makes her roll her eyes. She said she would always say, I'm already out, she's bored. Those roles are written as incredibly stoic. You spend the whole time acting tough and saying tough things. More unexpected than what Blunt stated is her portrayal of Cornelia Locke in The English. The actress went on to say that her character is pure without being naive, making her a formidable opponent. Emily, who co-starred with Cillian Murphy in A Quiet Place Part 2, released in 2021, will next be seen in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, a thriller about the development of the atomic bomb, releasing in 2023. Now, let's go over moments when Tom Cruise's terrible behavior made controversial headlines. First up, the time he called a prankster jerk. One of the pranksters at the London premiere of War of the Worlds in June 2005 used a phony microphone to spray water in Tom Cruise's face. The hoax occurred on the British Channel 4 prank show Balls of Steel, in which comedians participate in real-world, sometimes life-threatening tasks. But Cruise didn't laugh at the joke, and he reprimanded the prankster before he could leave. Do you enjoy thinking less of people? Is that it? Cruise said. That's incredibly rude. I'm here giving you an interview and you do that. It's incredibly rude. You're a jerk. Cruise continued, jerk, jerk, jerk. The cops then led the prankster and his 3 cameramen inside the theater and promptly apprehended them. According to The Guardian, Channel 4 issued a statement apologizing to Cruise and explaining that the prank was meant to be lighthearted rather than harmful. Do you think Tom could have been more tolerable? The fans were definitely divided on this one. Next, the Brooke Shields dilemma. Around the last week of May 2005, Cruise made comments about actress Brooke Shields' usage of antidepressants that were widely interpreted as criticism of Shields. According to People, Cruise told Access Hollywood that Shields was irresponsible for claiming in her book, Down Came the Rain, that drugs cured her postpartum depression after the birth of her daughter Rowan in 2003. Shields told People that Cruise should stick to protecting the planet from aliens in response to the magazine's article. Cruise was subsequently questioned about his thoughts on antidepressants during an appearance on The Today Show, and he and journalist journalist Matt Lauer got into a furious debate. As he put it, there is no such thing as a chemical imbalance, and antidepressants just cover up the underlying issue. And he then called Lauer glib and claimed that Lauer was wrong to suggest that talking to a therapist or taking antidepressants wouldn't help someone with depression. In an opinion piece for the New York Times, Shields called Cruz's remarks a disservice to moms worldwide. Shields said that Cruz apologized to her in person at her home on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Since Shields was a guest at his 2006 wedding to Katie Holmes, it seems that things have improved between them. Cruz said an Australian TV reporter had gone too far in 2005 when she questioned him about his connection with ex-wife Nicole Kidman. Following up the incident on the plane, Tom Cruise once mentioned limiting oxygen for a passenger on a flight to Colorado during an interview on The Late Show with David Letterman in 1999. Cruise claims that he, his co-pilot, and their passenger were all wearing oxygen masks throughout the flight due to the high altitude, but Cruise says he quickly realized he didn't have enough oxygen to be awake at that height. Cruise continued by saying he and the co-pilot had agreed to disable the passenger's oxygen mask so that they could continue their flight. It got a good chuckle out of the crowd and even from Cruise. Cruise's uncontrollable laughter made Letterman seem awkward as he recounted a passenger falling out from lack of air. Letterman was first perplexed and asked, "But honestly, looking at it from another direction, isn't that attempted manslaughter? You just turned a guy's oxygen off. You're lucky you're not doing time, for the love of God." Once Letterman knew his guest was okay, he laughed along with Cruise. Geez, fans couldn't decide if that was just plain insensitive or hilarious. Looks like people are always going to be divided on this one. What do you think? Not to forget Thandiwe Newton experience. Thandiwe Newton, in an interview with Vulture published in the year 2020, said that when filming Mission Impossible 2, she was so afraid of Cruise. Nya Nordulf Hall, who was portrayed by her in the 2000 film, was the on-screen girlfriend of Tom Cruise's character, Ethan Hunt. The star of Westworld said that he was a very powerful person. Her impression of him is that he exerts great effort to be a good guy. However, the stress was extreme. He's always taking on new responsibilities, and she's certain that he's the one and only who can get the job done properly. According to Newton, she and Cruise were frustrated with one another at one point because they could not nail a scene on a balcony. In an effort to get the sequence correct according to Cruise's standards, they eventually attempted rehearsing it on camera and saying each other's lines. "I can't think of anything less revealing," Newton said. "It just pushed me further into a place of terror and insecurity. It was a real shame, and bless him, and I really do mean bless him, because he was trying his damnedest." Her words continued. "To be fair, he wasn't the worst person ever. To put it simply, he was under a lot of pressure." In spite of this, Newton remembers calling his buddy Jonathan Demme the night of the first night of filming to describe the experience as a nightmare. Finally, the time he shouted at his crew. A recording of Cruise berating Mission Impossible 7 crew members for violating COVID-19 safety guidelines were leaked to The Sun in December 2020. Earlier that year, the team had to suspend shooting at Warner Brothers Studios in Leavesden, England due to coronavirus regulations. According to The Sun, Cruise flew into a frenzy when he saw two staff members standing less than 2 meters apart. In the recording obtained by The Sun, he can be heard saying, "And if you don't do it, you're fired." He said he could see people do it again, they're fucking gone. No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their fucking homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. The reaction of both fans and celebrities to the announcement were mixed. In an interview with Howard Stern's Sirius XM radio program, George Clooney remarked that Cruise didn't overreact. Meanwhile, in a letter posted on The Underground Bunker, former Scientologist Leah Remini described Cruise's audio as crazy. That's a wrap for this video. So, what did you think of what Emily had to say? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.